I am a very bad diet soda addict, and over the years, basically, the artificial sweetener has been addressed as a carcinogen, which I tend to shine off because from the test that they base this on, you have to drink 22 cases of soda a day to have it act as a carcinogen. And then all of a sudden, you gave me an aha about how it affects your um, increase in insulin because of the sugar message. One of the reasons I drink the soda is for the caffeine. From the zone point of view, if I take caffeine pills by themselves, would that be harmful?
Um, no, it'd be pretty boring. But well, let's explain why they tell you it takes 22 cases of diet soda to have any adverse effects. Surprisingly, man is genetically different than rats. Strange. I know this is hard to believe. Uh, Rats or other test animals, they have an enzyme called catalase that can rapidly break down formaldehyde. When you drink diet sodas, especially those with aspartame, which is about 95% of all diet sodas, the aspartame is absorbed, it tastes good, but in the body, it breaks down. And one of the breakdown products is called methanol. Methanol is a pretty bad toxin. In fact, if you take a tablespoon or a teaspoon of methanol, just straight, you'll be dead in 36 hours. Now, you say, well, methanol, ethanol, they look about the same. But methanol in the body is acted upon by an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase. And this converts it into formaldehyde. Nasty little thing. And in animals, they have this enzyme called catalase in high concentrations, which inactivates almost immediately any formaldehyde. Unfortunately, we don't have that enzyme. So any animal studies, if you're looking to try to induce neurological or cancer problems with aspartame, you'll say, it's safe as could be. The only species you can use are humans. And since we don't have high levels of that catalase enzyme, the more of the diet soda we drink, the more formaldehyde we make. It causes rapid changes because it's very reactive. Rapid changes in the proteins that now turn them from being self to non-self. The body starts attacking it. So I was showing Danielle a very interesting book called When Science Sleeps by Dr. Woodrow Monty, who I've known for many years. And he was a whistleblower on aspartame. He said, listen, this is a terrible plague we're unleashing upon the world. And they said, look at the animal studies. He says, it doesn't matter. You're looking at the only species you can look at are humans. And he shows very, very powerful data. He had to basically leave the United States because he had a couple of car bombings, and so he now lives in New Zealand, out of sight, out of mind type of thing. But his book is very prophetic. When you see the rise of aspartame, which has been exponential since 1981, what you see displaced by between 5 to 14 years is a corresponding same trajectory of increase of things such as multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, autism, cancers. So, and all this being explained because when you basically now get these formaldehyde modified proteins, what you set up is really now an immunological cascade of basically constant inflammation. And it's estimated we make about 10 million pounds of aspartame a year, which means you're consuming people are consuming about 1 million pounds of aspartame a year, or 1 million pounds of methanol per year. And it's not that aspartame is a source of methanol. There are 3 sources. One is when you smoke meat, because when you burn carbon sources like wood, it generates methanol. That's why they call it wood alcohol. And the second source of methanol is smoking cigarettes. The third source is eating canned fruits. And the primary offender is tomatoes. Because methanol is readily released from rotting fruit. Well, a canned fruit is basically a rotted fruit that you've been heating up, and then all the methanol stays in the can. This is why when the people in Central America, the Aztecs, that's where tomatoes were first grown. They knew never to eat tomatoes. They would be used as ornamental flowers in the garden, but don't eat them. When they were brought back to Italy and Europe, they're viewed as the devil's food because, one, they're red, and you basically would have some problems. They're part of the nightshade family. But the French and the Italians learned how to overcome this. The Italians would simmer the tomatoes for a long time. And as you simmer it, that basically evaporates off the methanol. The French would take a different approach. They would reduce it. So you reduce it to get more of a paste, and during that reduction, the methanol would float off. But now, once they developed cans, the methanol had no place to go but stay in the can. So you put the can, plop it right on the stuff, and it's pretty rich and relatively rich in methanol. So the safety data is flawed. The only animal species you can use to really look at the safety of aspartame is humans.